Tune to the server.
Okay. When you're ready, Rosemary.
Am I all right to make
Yes.
a start
Yeah,
again?
you can.
Right. For the third time of asking councillors good evening and welcome to this meeting of the Planning Committee. Going straight into the agenda, we've got firstly apologies for absence, but we haven't got any because we're all here.
Correct.
Are there any declarations of interest? Yes, Councillor de Court.
Yeah, it relates to page 16, number 2418, which is 27 Station Road. I'm sufficiently close to that I got a letter from the planning office advising me of those works. It doesn't really have any effect on me, but I think given it's next to close neighbours, I ought to on that one. I won't take part in the vote, but if you're okay with it, I'll stay in the meeting at that point.
Yes, that's absolutely fine. Okay, thank you. Are there any others? No. Okay, then we'll move on to the minutes of the meeting held on the 17th of November. And then could I ask councillors, and I wasn't there, but could I ask all of you who are there to signify if you're happy that they are signed as a true record of that meeting? Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have, moving on to item 4, do we have any public questions?
No, none have been received.
And have we received, item 5, any letters of objection?
No, we haven't.
No.
No letters of objection.
Okay, well, in that case, we'll move on to the main body of the works. Item 6, the applications for the week registered, or the week ending 13th of November 2020, week ending the 20th of November 2020, and the week ending the 27th of November 2020. And since we have no speakers, we'll just run through the items in their order on the agenda. So if we could start with item 5, 2020, I can't read it, 2228 at 23 The Close.
Okay, so this one, I believe that we've got some visuals to share for this one. So just reading my observations, that permission has already been granted in 2010 for a very similar scheme to what is being proposed. However, the changes relate to the dormer increasing in size and being repositioned lower on the roof. So I think if you just move on to the next image, Mim, you'll be able to just see here sort of the rear of the property, which is essentially where the bulk of the works are proposed to be. So apart from the repositioning of the dormer, everything else is remaining the same. There is an increase of 1 bedroom, but it's unclear on the existing number of bedrooms due to the floor plans not being marked. So I'm unsure whether or not the parking provision requirements are sufficient for the number of bedrooms. They have 1 off-street parking space and 1 garage space, but I'm making the assumption that it is acceptable due to planning permission of a very similar scheme already being approved. There's no tree works, and I have recommended consideration of no objection.
Thank you. Right, councillors, can I invite any comments? Councillor Cowley.
Thank you, Chair. Just given that we're unsure about the parking provision, is it worth doing a no objection subject to sufficient parking provision or something along those lines?
Yes, I mean, there's no harm in saying that, yes. Councillor Cousin.
Thank you, Chair. I just wondered, are there any letters of objection on the SAD website, SADC website?
No, not when I looked. No,
Not when we looked.
Okay, fine. Okay, that's fine. There's a planning application, and it could be in a similar, or maybe this one, where the residents were very unhappy about the fact that planning permission had been granted in the first place, and they felt that this increased dormer window was going to impact quite a lot on the privacy of the neighbours. but I haven't got it in front of me, so I don't know whether it is exactly this. That's why I was asking about whether there'd been any objections.
No, not to my knowledge. No.
We could always just cover ourselves by saying no objection, subject to no loss of amenity to neighbours
think that would- yeah,
sufficient
that-
parking.
Yeah, no, that would be good, because certainly the issue on this particular property, it was very, very close to the neighbours, looking straight into their kitchen window.
So are councillors happy if we just go with that wording?
Okay, that's fine. I've noted
Just
that
ask
down.
everybody to. Thank you. 5 2020 2313 does not meet the criteria for our consideration. 5 2020 2329 at Beeson End Orchard, Beeson End Lane. Thank you, Heather. If you just like to run through your
Of course, yeah. So
recommendations,
there's
your
one.
observations.
There's one image for Beeson End Orchard, if Mim's able to just share that. But this is a very spacious site set in a rural location with open land around it. The nearest property is a long way away. Proposal is for an add-on to the rear of the property, stroke fill in to the footprint. So let me just get that up in front of me as well. Okay, yeah, so the rear of the property there, you can see between the two sort of rear elements, a little sort of fill-in extension is proposed just in the gap that you can just see there between the two rear protruding elements. So it's an addition of one further bedroom. The design and style and materials is in keeping with the existing dwelling, ample parking provision, no tree work, and it's not in the conservation area. So I have said consider no objection.
Fine. Are there any comments, councillors? Yes, Councillor Turnbull.
Very quick one, Chair. Is this in the green belt? Does that have any implication on the planning or not? Or
Not for extensions of this nature, no, no.
Thank you.
Any other comments? No. So are we all happy to go with no objection?
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, moving on to 5 2020 2331 at 17 The Uplands.
Okay, this one, I believe that there's also some images to share. So this is the demolition of the existing and a replacement with a much more substantial modern building. There's an increase of roof height from 8 to 9.5 metres, although it is a change from hipped to, so it's changed and it's hipped to reduce the impact. Changed the shape of the footprint, but it's increasing in volume, but bringing in off of the boundaries. Style and design seems to mirror the new street scene style of the locality and not overly dominant and in keeping with the neighbouring properties. Garage and 3 off-street parking spaces are provided, no loss of trees, and a bat survey was conducted with no evidence of bats on the site, not in the conservation area. So I have said consider no objections, subject to no loss of amenity to the neighbouring properties, policy 72.5. So you can see here, yeah, how the footprint shape is changing, but it is being brought in off of the boundaries with the neighbouring properties. But the property certainly to the right is quite a substantial dwelling. The footprint of that is quite substantial already. And then the footprint to the left-hand side is stepped even further away from number 17's site.
Thank you. Do I have any comments, councillors? No. So are we all happy to go with the recommendation?
Unanimous.
Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you. Oh, we're going on to 5 2020 2341. And we're back in the Uplands at number 32.
We are, yes. So I've got an image of this one as well to share. So permission has already been granted for a very similar scheme to what's being proposed, but without the single story side extension element. So the scheme includes building over the existing flat roof elements to create an extra bedroom, a dressing and an ensuite. The footprint is not dramatically increasing, with the property set back from number 34 and is in line with number 30. No windows to the side of number 30 to be affected, and the roof form is increasing but not out of keeping with the other properties in the road, which is made up of a variety of dwelling styles. Ample parking with no loss of trees. So no, I said consider no objection. So you can see here just on the sort of the two drawings. So if you can just click back to the one before Mim, this was the one that was actually previously approved, which essentially matches what's being proposed over the flat roof element. And then if you click forward, the only addition is along this left-hand side, you can see there's a single story sloped roof element that's being added to the application that's already been approved.
Thank you. Do I have any comments, councillors? No. Well, in that case, can we go straight to the vote of the officers, the recommendation of no objection?
Okay,
Unanimous.
Thank you.
thank you.
5/2020-2342 does not meet the criteria for consideration. I see that's in the uplands as well, but obviously they're going to have a lot of builders in the uplands, aren't they?
It's actually the same address, Rosemary.
Oh, is it the same address?
Yeah, this is actually, so this is where they're
it's the
applying.
crossover.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. 5/2020-2105 at 11 Morton End Lane.
Okay, so I've got some images of this site as well to share. This property, or the current property, is quite modest in comparison to the neighbours.
Sorry, I've lost this one.
Okay.
Where have we gone?
Up, I think you need to go up to
You
around
need
about
to go up a bit.
no, up quite a few, Mim. I think it's probably about
Yes.
number 12, something
Oh,
like
there we
that,
go.
isn't it?
Is that the one?
Yes.
So actually number 11 is the existing, yeah. So
Yeah,
this
sorry.
is the existing, is okay. This is the existing property, which is quite modest in comparison to the neighbours. The footprint is increasing by quite a lot. The addition of the roof accommodation will increase of the ridge height marginally. The proposal does appear to be in keeping with the neighbouring properties, although is much higher than number 9 due to the slope of the road. Demolition of the garage with a new crossover access with space for at least 3 cars off street. The addition of 1 bedroom, and however there are a number of trees and shrubs are planned for removal with details of only 2 replacement trees. Hence why my recommendation is that whilst the committee have no objection to the proposed changes to the dwelling, subject to no loss of amenity to the neighbouring properties, they do, however, express concern that there do not appear to be sufficient planned replacement trees to satisfy the requirements of the policy ESD 14 of the Hartmanton Neighbourhood Plan of a replacement ratio of 1 to 2 trees removed.
Okay, thank you. Right, councillors, can I invite any comments? Councillor Drake.
Yes, it seems to me a bit lazy not to put in a plan for the replacement of the trees, and in consideration of some of the decisions we've made in previous cases, we've declined to in fact we've refused a number of applications on that basis. So I think, to be consistent, we should probably do the same here.
Yeah, any other comments? I can see Councillor Court nodding. Yes. Any other comments? So, councillors, are we all minded to go with refuse on the basis they've not provided an adequate plan for the replacement trees? Yes. Okay, so maybe if we could put some, not Mim, Heather even, if we could put something down along the lines of
Recommend
refusal on the basis that there is no adequate tree replacement plan provided. Thank you.
That's fine, yeah.
Okay, 5/2020-2312 does not meet the criteria for our consideration. Then we go on to 5/2021-999, at 31 Chesterton Avenue.
Okay, so I think there's some images to share with this one again as well. Okay, so this is quite a strange sort of scenario. This property doesn't follow the normal flow of the road. It's sort of slightly hidden in a bit of a cul-de-sac, actually, right down the end. So the frontage isn't visible from the normal street scene. But my observations are is that the proposal is to change the roof form from a hip to a gable with the addition of a flat roof dormer and 2 front roof lights. Creation of 1 extra bedroom to be 5 in total. No details of parking provision, but appear to have 1 garage and 1 off-street parking space. No tree work. So I said, whilst the committee have no objection to the proposed changes to the dwelling, subject to no loss of amenity to the neighbouring properties, they do, however, express concern that there appears to be insufficient parking provision, contrary to policies 40 and 72(4) of the district local plan. It's quite hard when they don't actually describe what parking provision they've got. You have to go from what you can see on Google Maps, which maybe isn't 100% accurate.
Yeah, because I mean, yes, depending on the location, some of the on-street parking on Chesterton Avenue around some of the corners can be quite tricky. Do we have can we pull up a street scene at all?
We can. There's not an awful lot to see, but
no, but might just give us a sense of the street.
Of course, yeah. So
because there are some rather tricky nooks and crannies along Chesterton Avenue.
There are.
Right,
I'll see if I can try and direct you, Mim, to where it is, because Chesterton Avenue is renowned for being quite tricky.
It certainly is.
It's, yeah, you have to sort of follow the road signs almost to tell you where you're going. So actually, Mim, if you could just come out actually and go to sort of the view just above, and I can probably take you to it.
Won't let me come out of it.
Okay.
So
I think you want to be going. Don't you want to be going that? Yes, keep going.
Yeah, if you swing round, Mim.
Swing round.
Yeah, keep swinging round. I think it is down here. Yeah, keep swinging round.
Oh, yes, it's the bit down.
Then if you go round to the right.
Yes.
I think it's down here.
Round here?
No, it's not. Okay, come back out of that little tiny bit of cul-de-sac. I think it's on the opposite side. Carry on round to the left.
Down here?
That's it, yeah. And then at the end, you need to go left again.
Down here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go left.
Down.
Yeah, go all the way down.
Yeah, go all the way down. This is Chesterton Avenue is a real nightmare.
And then I think you need to go left again.
Round to the left.
Go left again.
That's it.
Gosh.
Yeah. That's it. Keep on going down. Okay, so this side.
And it's right at the end. That's what I wondered, because yes.
Is where that red car is. So
this
where that
here.
red car is,
Yep.
and that is the property in question. And there is a garage behind that red car.
Right.
But there's no description as to whether or not they're reducing the garden to create 2 additional parkings, another parking space to make it 3 on the site. Yeah, it's kind of guesswork, unfortunately. They haven't described anything.
Yeah, because you see, because I mean, I never ran there. You can, I mean, there's not an awful lot of space there for off-road parking.
No.
Yeah.
All dropped curbs.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think, no, perhaps there isn't. I was trying to remember if round the corner there's another house on that side.
I think there is another house the other side of it.
Yes, there is another. Yes, that's what I think.
There is. And I think that their parking provision is to the right-hand side of that red car.
Yes.
It's like a little drive there that goes to another garage, which I believe, yeah.
Yes. It's a slightly odd layout around there. So I think councillors, perhaps interested councillors, what do you think about the parking there? Yeah, it's Councillor de Court.
I mean, I think we're in the same situation as Councillor Drake described for the one in
Yes.
Morton End Lane. There's just laziness or whatever, just to not actually address the issue.
Yes,
And we're moving to 5 bedrooms, and it appears a very tight 2 cars. There does appear, I'm no architect, but there appear to be some options to get around it, but they've chosen not to take those,
yes,
which I can understand.
yes.
Except if you were totally free to do what you wanted to do,
Yes.
but we have rules for a reason,
Yes,
don't we? So
we do,
I'm
we
in the
do.
same position as we were
I
the other
agree.
day.
I can't see that there is sufficient parking.
Yep.
Does anybody else want to comment? So,
Just agreeing with you.
yes, so I mean, councillors, are we minded to recommend refusal on the basis that there does not appear to be sufficient parking provision in a location that is in this cul-de-sac location?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Unanimous.
And I think perhaps if we do mention something about the cul-de-sac, because I mean, I walk down there frequently because it's my shortcut through. I walk down through that way, sometimes round to Crabtree Lane, and it's that little hammerhead there, cul-de-sac, is very tight.
No, the
Okay.
idea for Hammerhead is a turning space, isn't it? It shouldn't be
Well,
populated.
yes,
by
I mean, no,
parked
it shouldn't
cars.
be for parking. No. Okay, 5/2020 T2379 at 7 Finley Road.
Okay, I think we've got a couple of images to share with this one as well. So the proposal is for a small 2-storey extension to the front, and there's no impact on the neighbours from this addition, and a replacement brick building element to the demolished conservatory with a 2-storey extension to create 1 extra bedroom. The neighbour appears to have done similar, so the neighbour that they're actually attached to appears to have done similar. No increase in the overall footprint to the rear. Number 9 Finley Road is set further back, so there's no impact on them from the 2-storey rear element. 45-degree angle to number 5 has been taken into account. Appear to be 3 off-street parking spaces, no tree work, and a nice addition to the street scene. So I've said no objection, subject to no loss of amenity to neighbouring properties.
Yes, and in fact, the properties there, they all have pretty decent sized plots.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can see they've got sort of ample rear
Yes.
amenity space and actually good frontage for parking
Yes.
provision as well.
Yes. So do I have any comments, councillors? No, we're all happy to go with that, or to no objection.
Okay.
Are you okay, Councillor de Court? Thank you. Thanks very much. 5/2020 2387 does not meet the criteria for our consideration. Similarly for 2396, 2408,
Yeah, I
sorry,
think,
Councillor de Court. Yes, yes. Sorry, can't hear you.
I'm on now. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
It was just about 2396, the one that's Devonshire Road.
yes,
It just in reading it, I'm just obviously advice on doesn't meet criteria, but it's a partial garage conversion to habitable space, and I just
yes.
there's no reference to what that might do to overall parking. Is that just something that you can do if you keep it small enough that it doesn't meet the criteria?
Because, yeah, so the reason why that it didn't meet the criteria is that it's a very small amendment to planning permission that has been granted.
The planning permission's already been granted. Okay, I
Oh,
apologise.
okay,
Yes,
yes,
I understand.
that's
now. Thank
fine.
you.
Otherwise, I was going to say we'll take a look at it. But if that's the case,
Yeah,
that's
thank you.
fine.
So
Okay.
I
But
think
thank
from
you-
memory,
Thank you for raising that. It's always worthwhile, raising things if we think there is an issue.
from memory, just to be clear, I think that it was just a change to the, I think it was from windows or doors, the shape and the size of windows and doors, I think,
Yes.
from memory.
2408 does not meet requirements for consideration. Similarly, 2354, 2362, 1985, 2446. So moving on to 5, 2020, 2373 at 24 Carpenter's Close.
Okay, I think that I've got an image of this one, Mim.
Okay, let's have a look. There we go.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so essentially that this is filling in the small gap above the flat roof garage to enlarge the bedrooms. You can see just here that there's a little bit of a recessed element of the property. They're essentially filling that in just to extend bedroom 3 to a larger size. They are changing the garage to be a habitable space, stroke store. There's currently 1 garage space and 2 off-street parking spaces. Only 2 off-street parking spaces are proposed, although there is no increase in bedrooms. No tree works, consider no objection.
Okay, yes, Councillor Cowley.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just 2 things. Firstly, given the angle to the window on the other side, I just think it might be worth us putting in some language about subject to no loss of amenity. And the second thing was just checking how many bedrooms there are, because I'm assuming that it's enough for 2 spaces is enough, but I just thought I'd check.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I can check for you. So it's going to actually be 4 bedrooms. There's currently 4 bedrooms, and they're just extending the smaller bedroom to become slightly larger.
Is that 2 spaces or 2.5? I can never remember.
2.5. I think it's 2. Oh, hang on a moment.
It's 2.5, I think.
It is 2.5, but they have it in terms of an allocation as to what's allocated and what's unallocated. So actually, where are we? So it's 2. Well, actually 4 is allocated. Should be 3 spaces with half an unallocated space. So strictly, it should be 3.5. So they are actually insufficient with parking provision because they're losing the garage completely.
Is it possible to have a look at the street scene just to get a sense of what the parking is like there? Because I've got a feeling that Carpenter's Close is a fairly small road. Yeah. Could we take a look?
24. Right, so whereabouts is it, Heb?
Right, okay.
Oh, I know where it is, yes.
Yeah, carry on round.
Yes, I
It's
see where
down
it is. Carry
here.
on.
So if you go to the left, that's it, and then up there, keep going all the way up to the top, and it's the house directly in front of you at the top at the little.
Oh, I
T
see.
junction. That's it, yeah. So that's the property in question there.
Right. You want to look at parking?
Yes, I'm in fact thinking, yes, I don't think there's a particular problem parking in that road.
No.
I think there's plenty of,
Mm.
I mean,
Well, I cycle up these streets quite frequently, and there's no parking problem up there.
no, I was going to say there is no parking problem up there. It's a bit off the beaten track up on Carpenter's Close. I'd be inclined to go with perhaps just express concern that of the loss of a parking space, but I don't think it's actually going to create a problem in that particular location.
Is it just it's just losing the garage parking space, is it?
Yes.
Which they probably never use as for a car, so.
Yes, probably, yes.
Yeah.
So I think we could just perhaps express concern that the loss of not express concern, just note there's a parking space been lost, and make it, as you suggest, subject to no loss of amenity to neighbouring properties. So are we happy to go with that?
Mhm.
Thank you.
It's unanimous.
Okay, thank you.
5/2020/2407 28 Miley Close.
Okay, so there is a couple of images to share with this one. So this is essentially the proposal is to
Sorry.
site the fence.
Oh. Okay.
That's it. So the proposal is to resite the fence that is 1 metre away from the laurel hedge to sit just behind the hedge. So since the refusal application in 2015, the hedge has grown to an extent that the proposed relocated fence will be obscured by the hedging, and therefore the perceived impact will be removed. So that was essentially the reason why it was refused by the District Council 5 years ago, was that they felt that the fence may have a detrimental effect on the street scene and the neighbouring dwellings, but essentially you're not actually going to see it from behind the hedge now. So hence why I've said no objections, subject to the proposed fence height not being more than 1.8 metres at all points, which mirrors pretty much what we said 5 years ago.
Okay. Any comments, or are we happy to go with that? Councillor Cowley?
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick one. I noticed that last time we made a comment about subject to clarification that it will be installed within the curtilage of the application property. I'm assuming we're satisfied on this occasion that it is within the curtilage of the application property.
It is, because of the hedge is the boundary of the property and it's going behind the hedge. So I think it's, from sort of reading the information, I think that they partly the reason why they wanted to have the fence is to create a proper security for the garden.
Yeah, and I just thought I should check, given.
Okay, so are we happy to go with that? Thank you.
Unanimous.
5/2020/2435 at 4 Osprey Close.
Okay, this one there isn't actually any images because this is a private road, so I wasn't able to get down there, unfortunately. So this is one of the infill properties that was put in behind a couple of the larger wood end properties about 3 or 4 years ago. So it's just to provide a bedroom above the existing flat roof ground floor elements. There's no impact on the neighbours. There's more than ample parking provision on the site.
I mean, looking at the plans, it looked okay. So anybody got any comments, or are we all happy to go with no objection? Thank you.
Unanimous.
5/2020/2438 does not meet the criteria for our consideration. Oh, look, it's an old friend coming back. 5/2020/2465. The external container retrospective at Unit 6, 40 Cold Harbour Lane. No. Oh, dear. There are some that seem to come back with incredible frequency.
I haven't done any images to show this because
nothing's changed.
There's nothing has changed. So essentially, it's in situ. They're breaking the rules. They were refused planning permission. Their appeal was dismissed. So they're coming back. I do wonder whether or not they submit these applications to try and buy themselves time so that they can continue to use the container whilst things, obviously all of this is taking its course of time.
Yes.
So I've said recommend refusal, reasons for refusal and appeal dismissal have not.
I just boggle when people bring something back that's been, the appeal has been dismissed and they bring exactly the same thing back. So all we can do is just refuse again. So I take it we're all happy to refuse.
It's unanimous.
Yes, talk about trying it on. 5/2020/2435 63 Laycroft Way.
Okay, I think there's a few images actually of this particular site. Okay, so I've said here that the assumption from the SADC planning database is that the neighbours are still bungalows. There didn't appear to be any planning applications submitted for either of them, so they are, to my knowledge, are both still bungalows. There are 2-storey houses on the opposite side of the road and further around in the road. The site is on the bend of the road, with the rear of the plot more spacious than the front. Bulk of the extensions to the rear of the property, with number 61 covering a large footprint, and this property doesn't extend even as far back as that. Property is angled away from the boundary with number 65. There's addition of 1 bedroom, and the garage is being retained and parking for at least 2 car parking spaces off street. No tree works. Consider no objections, subject to no loss of amenity to neighbouring properties.
Okay, thank you. Right, can I invite any comments, councillors, or are we all quite happy with this? Any comments? No. So are we happy to go with no objection?
Okay.
Thank you. 5/2020-2416. That's 17 Salisbury Avenue does not meet the criteria for consideration. 5/2020-2418 at 27 Station Road, and this is the one you're sitting out of, isn't it, Councillor Court? Yes, thank you.
Okay, so there are a few images to share of this one, I believe. Okay, so a very similar proposal was approved in 2014, but this application includes a single-storey element along the side. There appears to be sufficient space to accommodate the addition to the already approved scheme, with a gap along the boundary with number 29 Station Road. So I'll just say consider no objections, subject to the appropriate design and use of materials on this locally listed building in the conservation area. You can see you can just see here where you've got the previously approved at the top there, and then the proposed lower down. So the only change is that on the left hand side you can see there's a little small single story slim element is being added, and then there's also the addition of a roof light on the side elevation that wasn't, or actually in fact that's been removed. There was yes, there's been a slight reconfiguration internally, which has removed some of the roof lights from the previously approved scheme to the proposed scheme on this occasion.
Okay, thank you.
There's a couple that have been lost at the rear and then another at the side.
Okay, Councillor Turnbull. You're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chair, one quick question again. Parking. Are there sufficient parking places for this? I don't know, is this an extra bedroom that's being added or not? Because what I know up there, it's pretty tight parking wise generally.
I will just double check actually if there is an addition.
Can we have a look at the photograph of it as well?
Although I don't think there's any additional bedrooms added from the previous permission that was granted.
No, the only change is the single story element.
It's not a bedroom, is it?
No,
it's ground floor. It's ground floor.
Okay. Well, that could be a bedroom, I suppose, but
it's a utility and a WC, and then a study.
Okay.
Councillor Cousin.
Sorry, thank you, Chair. Is the study upstairs or is it downstairs?
The study is well, you can say it's upstairs. Yes, it is upstairs, but the roof form doesn't actually lend itself to being an upstairs. It's kind of in the roof form of the ground floor element. So it is upstairs, but it isn't. It's kind of in the roof form of the ground. My only
comment is that if it is, how do we know whether it's a bedroom or a study? And that's my only question. And the only other concern I had, but I think it is okay, is adding that extra side bit, whether there's a terracing effect because it's so close to the neighbours. But I think that's okay.
The study is quite tiny, actually. Looking at it here, it's basically 4'9".
Yeah, I think it's too. I think when I looked at the plans,
Yeah,
it's too small to really be a viable bedroom.
Yeah, it is. And there's an ensuite at the back for the other bedroom.
Okay, I'm happy.
You might fit a cot in there, but
And unlikely to be driving if they're on a cot.
Yes, I was going to say it's not like likely to drive. Okay, so are we okay, councillors, to go with no objection? Thank you. And I think moving on to the last one, 5/2020-2476 at 53 Townsend Lane.
okay, so I think there's a couple of images I've shared with this one. I couldn't actually see a great deal of the actual street scene because it's so hidden by a series of trees. So if you go to the last one, Mim, this shows actually a level of screening that the property has actually got, and where the little red cross is, where there are 2 current parking spaces, that is the site of the proposed carport stroke garage. But it does fill beyond sort of, it fills further up beyond that to fill the sort of, or to fill the space that is being proposed, but it is actually retrospective, so it is already there in situ. So my observations is that the plot is large with ample space at the front to accommodate the carport stroke garage. Site appears to be heavily screened from the street scene, therefore reducing the impact. Materials are in keeping with the conservation area, which it just about sits in. So I'll say consider no objections subject to the appropriate use of materials in the conservation area. Policy 85(1) of the district plan refers.
Okay.
Chair, I know the site, and you've almost got to look hard to see the property. There's so much foliage.
I was going to say there's so many. Yeah, I know. There's so many trees.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to go on a search party to find
I
out.
I often pass it with my grandchildren, so I know it.
Yes. Do you have any comments, or are we happy to go with that? Thank you.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Right, moving on to item 7, which are the appeals. I'm sure we'll all be interested to see that the application for Turner's Hall Farm Barns at Animals Lane was dismissed by the planning inspector. And also that the appeal in respect of 105 Luton Road was allowed. And I think those are the only appeal decisions. At item 8, applications for tree works, really just for noting unless anybody's got anything they wanted to raise. And similarly for agenda item 9, the council technical applications. And then item 10 is just for noting is the weekly list of decisions. And then I think that's probably it, isn't it? And then that's it. So
Yeah, we've got date of the next meeting.
I can't remember, was it the 18th or the 20th of December?
22nd.
22nd of December, yes.
22nd, yeah.
Yes. So don't start celebrating Christmas too early. You've got a planning meeting on the 22nd of December. Okay, right. Well, in that case, call the meeting to a close at, will I make it 20 past, or 17 minutes past 8, I make it, which is good. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you for your input, councillors, and thank you, Mim and Heather.
Thanks,
See you
everyone.
on the
Rosemary, can I
22nd.
just,
Bye.
Rosemary, can I
Bye.
just say one thing,
You may.
which is not, I'm happy for the camera to be switched off. It's just interesting looking at the appeal